I think there were two things. First of all, I heard from Mr. Ramadan Ngovi, who is the permanent secretary, Minister of Finance, or secretary to the Treasury. Number one, his proposal was that to slash the budget of Parliament. I remember the budget to Parliament, in as far as I know, in the latest framework paper, it is coming to almost $1 trillion, by the way. Now, and yet, when you look at what is in Parliament, it is simply consumption. There is nothing to do with the production. Now, that therefore means that logically, anybody whose interest is to allocate money from consumption to production would therefore go for the slashing of the budget. Now, I do not, people must also understand that in a day that Parliament uses close to 2 billion shillings. Of course, they accuse the presidents of using 3 billion, but they also use close to 3 or over and above through 3 billion. So it is, I think, it is only logical, it is only economically sensible to slash their budget. Number two, I heard the MPs wanting to usurp the power, or rather quarreling against the statements made by Mr. Ramadan Ngovi, to the effect that in regard to allocation, setting priorities, and also how the framework paper should look like. Now, I think MPs or Parliament should really understand its roles in regard to Article 71, which are three: legislation, allocation, and oversight. There is a principle that they use so much, that eyes on, hands off. Now, when the eyes are on, it does not mean, the appropriation bill, which is the budget itself, the detail is supposed to be done by the PSST and only brought to MPs for allocation. Now, that man is put there, he's a technical person. He's supposed to know which sectors need rather financing. It has also come at a point when our foreign funding is shrinking, our own, the corruption has shot up, So, because we are losing close to 11 trillion to corruption. Now, we have lost close to about 9 trillion that is supposed to be from the foreign funding. So, sensibly, the man is being economically rational by cutting down, because there are only two. Either you cut down the amount of budget you give Parliament, or you cut down the number of MPs we have to about 100, if they still want their funding to be maintained. Three, we all see this rationalization process. It is all geared towards trying to efficiently allocate our funds. Now, if you are cutting down on a number of parastatals as MPs, but you do not want to cut down on your own expenditure, then what are you doing? You're simply being defeatist. It is saddening. It is disappointing that we are at a state where political parties, where opposition specifically, instead of preparing for the next coming election, everybody is quarreling. That is, of course, bad. But you see, the Baganda have a saying that Kamwakabi Kasasiroganga. In 2016, Sam7 was in Kololo, and was categorical, and he said by 2021 he's going to finish off official opposition. That we know. And so when you look at what is happening in the opposition, there is no quarreling, there is no opposition party. Let me begin with what started in UPC. When UPC went into flames, the quarrel was that one faction of UPC was dealing with Museveni. When it went to DP, the quarrel was still that one section was dealing with Museveni. When it went to FDC, the same story. Even in NUP, the allegation is that one group got money that is from the bad source. So that's number one, that the guy is the one disorganizing the opposition, and it is deliberate. But you see, I have also told you this story, that Mr. Museveni is doing this deliberately because he wants to discredit. He discredits all official opposition so that he hits them, he discredits them, so that at the end of it all, for him, is the only one reorganizing. He portrays opposition in the eyes of the public as if they are disorganized, they are not focused, they are clueless, and so on, so that he is the only one who remains the only standing man. You know, number three, or the last one, you see, when you see, there is something that he came to Africa in the early 90s, that multi-party political dispensation. Now, multi-party political dispensation is supposed to give a semblance of democracy. Now, democracy, according to the Western definition, is that there should be institutions, say the judiciary, parliament, and so on. But you see, these dictators, the new dictators in Africa, what they did, they put something that looks like democracy but not democracy. They allow political parties, but which do not function like political parties. They allow the judiciary, which don't function like judiciary. So I'm telling you, this is a planned thing by Mr. Museveni himself to discredit every grouping and every individual that would really be looked at by the general public as an alternative to his rule. I just want from the party National Economic Empowerment Dialogue, I want to send greetings to our Christian friends, especially the Easter. It is actually Easter greetings. I want to ask them to enjoy, to pray for this country, because Easter comes, that it's the death, and it is the origin of the salvation from the Christian point of view. Salvation means liberation. I want them to pray for us in this holy season, that our country gets better, our country gets liberated, and our country gets to a point where we all think it is. It's the same sense, also our Muslim brothers, it is also a fasting period. I think today is 18th or 19th day, the fasting, it is also a holy period. In other words, everybody is moving on the holy path, and therefore, it's likely that God can answer our prayers. This country needs prayers. This country needs dedication. This country needs to be liberated. And therefore, both the Muslims and the Christians, I ask you, pray for the country.